drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor? What do you do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
Hello YouTube, I'm Erik.
I'm Tina.
And we are
the Drunken Travelers.
Today we're going to talk about the Allure of the Sea, specifically Central Park. So the Oasis class ships, the nice thing about the Oasis class ships is that unlike most other ships, they actually have a part of the ship called Central Park. For me that was kind of important because I was in the Navy for 6-7 years during the Gulf War, and having been at sea for months and months at end, the last thing I wanted to see was just the ocean all the time. I know that a lot of people are like, ooh, the ocean. For me, it wasn't the greatest thing since I'd seen it day in and day out for months at a time. So I really like the idea that the Oasis class ships have a Central Park. So it brings about a setting to where you can go sit down and feel like you're just in a park environment. It's got real trees. They actually have real birds that are on here. There were several times while I was sitting at the Trellis Bar, a little finch-sized bird would just come up right on the bar, and if you don't move, they'll like literally just bounce right across your hand and fly off. And it was just neat to hear the birds chirping, and of course they've added some ambiance to give you the background sound of wildlife.
Yeah, you can almost forget you're actually on the ocean.
Yep.
Really.
Yep. And it's just a really relaxing environment. In fact, as you notice here, there's plenty of places just to sit down and just enjoy the ambience. They've got like like right here, you've got a few of the specialty restaurants. Like this is the Park Cafe, right? And that's actually an included restaurant, the Park Cafe. You can go in there and get like a make your own salad. It'll have like some shaved roast beef sandwiches and
I didn't have
drinks.
one, but everybody says those are really good.
Yeah, the salad, it was okay.
The roast beef sandwiches.
Yeah, the salad at Royal Caribbean, I can take it or leave it. Everybody talks about how wonderful the salad bar is for make your own salad, but it didn't have the most amount of toppings. And then of course here we've got the Trellis Bar, which
Trellis
I think
Bar was our favorite.
Yeah, it's definitely the best place in Central Park. If you've not gone to the Trellis Bar, that's got to be on your must-do list. Here we have the Rising Tide Bar, which if you read the reviews, the Rising Tide Bar really sounds exciting. I was stoked to try it when I got on there. Here's a bar that literally it goes to different levels, and every 30 minutes it's supposed to be on a different level, and it sounds wonderful. You get on there and you have a couple drinks. Next thing you know, you're in Central Park, or next thing you know, you're down the Royal Promenade. Reality didn't really match that very much. In fact, there were several times I waited on the thing in Central Park for over 2 hours. The sign will say it's here every 30 minutes, and it'll say the schedule. It'll be here the next time, but they really don't run it the way that every half an hour like they claim they are.
And it's a very small bar. There wasn't a lot of seating there.
No, it is very small.
And it seemed kind of anticlimactic for us. It just kind of like, it just goes up so slowly and then you're done.
It's a novelty. It's great to do one time, but it's not a bar you want to hang out in just because the seating is very limited anyway, and you just do it just to say you've done it. But in Central Park is great though. They've got specialty shopping here. Unlike some ships where they take all the shopping and put it in one area, on the Oasis class ships like the Allure, they've actually taken the shopping and they've actually spread it between the promenade deck and the boardwalk and Central Park. They'll have a photo studio here. I believe there's a jewelry shop here as well, along with the specialty restaurants. And
there's a Coach store here. Yeah. Just if you have the Wi-Fi plan, make sure you check your prices before you buy, because you could actually buy them on land cheaper even though it's duty-free on the ship. Yeah. So know your prices before you buy.
And then here we've got Giovanni's table. We didn't do all the specialty restaurants, but we had a family of 5 kids in tow. But on this trip, we did do the Giovanni's table, And I'm telling you, that was just absolutely amazing. We were actually in a hurry to go see the Aqua Theater that night. And they were accommodating, and they said, well, we're sorry, we'll have to seat you out here in Central Park instead of inside the restaurant. Like, oh my God, that's the worst thing in the world. Let's put you out here with all this nice flora and ambient sound in an open park and serve you dinner. And they felt bad about it. And I'm like, I've just got the greatest seats in the world.
But they worked so hard to get us in and out of there so quickly, and gave us double portions of dessert to go so we could make our show.
And then here's Vintages. Vintages is a wine bar. Now, if you're doing the beverage package, you'll probably find that there's only about 2 wines on their list that you can actually go and drink and still maintain a zero balance with your beverage package, because they really do bring in some of the higher end wines. And
the
most
limit
of
is
them,
$13 per alcoholic beverage.
Right, and most of them are per bottle in Vintages. They're not even per glass. So you can't even say, well, I'll pay a few extra dollars on this one. You're really staring down the fact that, well, I'll get a discount on the bottle, but this is a $60 bottle of wine, and I've got an all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink package. So, do I really want to do that? That's obviously something to weigh. And then, of course, at nighttime in Central Park,
completely different experience at night. Completely.
The background sound goes from birds to crickets and a lot of other background nocturnal sounds. I didn't hear any owls, but everything else is great. And the way they light it at nighttime, it's almost like a cross between like Rockefeller Center meets Rivendell. I mean, it's just very, very ornate.
It's almost magical there. Yeah. And then there's the Trellis Bar again. And we had really good bartenders that were entertaining. They knew us by name when we came up. We didn't have to introduce ourselves. They knew exactly what drinks we wanted, and even knew our taste well enough that they can concoct their own special drinks just for us. And we would often have to, we wouldn't have to order a thing when we sat there. They would just bring us the drinks that they thought we would like, and most of the time we did.
I remember one bartender, Elena, she's constantly inventing new drinks, and she would submit them for like notoriety. And she'd come up with these things like, oh, here's a green tea, and it definitely looked like green tea, but if you drank a couple of those, you didn't feel like you had green tea.
Well, and she always said we had to get our vitamins with our green tea, because we all know how green tea is healthy for you.
You're right.
So even when I was walking past through Central Park, if she saw me, she would say, you must come back and get your green tea, because you have to have your vitamins.
Yep.
So she was very, very helpful with maintaining our health on the trip.
And I remember they don't have banana daiquiris, and I knew you were partial to the banana daiquiris.
I love banana daiquiris.
But they
I
have
can never find them.
They had the strawberry daiquiri mix, and they had like some of the other flavors, but they didn't have the banana mix. And I remember Tamara, the lady that worked the bar, kept telling me we just don't have the ingredients for it. And one day I went to Windjammers, and I just took a couple of the bananas right from the buffet and walked down there and said, Tamara, I need a favor. I need you to make a banana daiquiri. And before she could even say I don't have the ingredients, I showed her the 2 bananas. Like, now you've got the ingredients. You think you can make me a banana daiquiri? And she sure enough made a banana daiquiri for my wife. And then they were very accommodating for my kids. It was too.
Awesome.
They would come up with some sort of like ice cream drink for them. They'd just take like some milk and some crushed ice and some flavoring, some vanilla or whatever, and they'd even make some makeshift ice cream for the kids, just to keep the kids entertained. They were top notch.
And I thought they were big stuff, sitting with the grown-ups there at the bar, and
right.
And we got some family time in there too. Right.
Now, some of the other specialty restaurants there include the Chops Grill, which everybody raves about, the steakhouse. Now, with Giovanni's table, we actually got the steak there. Even though it's an Italian restaurant, they had a fillet there, and it was, we were kind of on a budget because we went there with 5 people, and when you take a specialty restaurant, you multiply it by 5, it can add up pretty quickly. So we were kind of looking at Giovanni's because it was a little bit less on the price than compared to Chops Grill. And when we got that fillet, I did not feel like I got shorted on a steak at all. No. I mean, it was every bit of like a 12-ounce fillet, and it was just
tender
perfect.
Like butter.
Yeah, it was just amazingly perfect and I did not feel like I missed a steak experience at all.
No. Not at all.
And I didn't try the 150 Central Avenue, or what did they call it? Central. No, the
150 Central.
I thought it was 150 Central Avenue. The especially like kind of like an organic kind of food experience. I didn't really take a good look at that, but that's also in Central Park. So.
Mm-hmm. But it was an awesome experience. Central Park was just. There's something for everybody there. You know, there's seatings for groups of people. There's benches kind of in more quiet areas if you want a little place where you can sit and read by yourself without a lot of noise or interruptions, and just tons of little nooks and crannies there for you to find a little niche for yourself. Bars, restaurants, just a little bit of everything there. I like the ocean, but you know, I really like the Central Park too.
Right. Well, like with our daughter, when she wasn't down in the promenade deck hanging out in those super giant fancy throne-looking chairs in front of the champagne bar, she was hanging out in Central Park reading, and you know, she had the internet package, so she was kind of like, you know, she was going through the whole let's hang out and talk to our friends still. So she was still on social media live chatting with her friends in Central Park, but she felt like that was a good place that she could hang out and not feel like she's a little sensitive to the ocean.
Yeah,
and so
she felt seasick.
She felt like she could hang out there, and it kind of like, you know, she just felt like she was hanging out in the park.
Right.
So this concludes our review of Central Park, and I rated it a 10.
Subscribe to our channel. Bye.